welcome to another News Game Plus. I'm Dermy, as usual, and I'm here with a big angry New Game Plus executive producer, Jason O'Callaghan. He's just come out of hibernation, and he's very busy preparing, what is it tonight, the Miku after
We got the
party?
Miku glitch after party, and then the next day I have Cash Rose cross up, and my other colleague is now has work
The
at broadcast at 6 a.m. So it's me doing
6
back
a.m.,
to
yeah.
yeah, me doing back to back. So I'm not
Stay up
not
all
looking forward
night for
to it.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
not looking forward to it.
so what the glitching? I'm going to try and get this podcast out today. So if anyone listens to it and you're slightly neurodivergent,
But just because they listen to Miku and go to video game events,
so
that's yeah.
where's Glitch tonight?
So whereas it always is King Street in Melbourne.
Which nightclub? Inflation was it?
Inflation,
Yep.
correct.
So what time?
Starts at 9, but if you rocked up early, I'm pretty sure we'll be ready to accept you.
All right. So if you hear this afternoon and yeah you're into that sort of stuff, it's a Mickey after party. If you know who Mickey is, you're probably if you don't know who that is, you're probably not the market for Glitch.
It's got to be said. I had to come back from Sydney yesterday, and between Pearl Jam and Miku, it was an interesting plane ride up on the Tuesday, and then I literally couldn't get back to Melbourne yesterday. I buy my flights on the day.
Pearl Jam.
Yeah,
50-year-olds.
yeah. Well, yeah, 50. I think keep going.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. Kurt Cobain died in he was mid-20s and he was 94.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
Seems
yeah.
like you. Anyway. So,
But no, but I had to go to Canberra then to Sydney, to Melbourne. That's how I had to get home.
yeah. My kids went to Set It Off last night.
Oh yeah,
I like their songs. They play a lot of them
I
on
don't know what that
Spotify.
is.
It's a band.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get on to this. We'll go straight to because I know what I'm going to call this podcast. We have to talk about. I always do that as a little thing. We have to talk about the Game
Yeah,
Awards
here we
because
go.
that's current, topical. We're going to do it. We're going to do a react like we're going to be Asmongold or something. We're just going to talk about what happened in the Game Awards and get like 3 million
We're
views.
not going near Gaza. What are
My
you talking
dad's
about?
my
Yeah.
dad's my dad's going to ring me soon. I'm going to answer on. Oh yeah, dad. Yeah, dad. Now they're all scumbags that deserve
Yeah,
to
yeah,
die. Yeah, right. Anyway, what's I got banned?
yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean, let's
We're
not
gonna do too
let's
far
leave
down
that
that
there.
one. So, all right, cool. Let's look first because since you just have come out of hibernation, you're a little bit grumpy. I'm just going to make your mood better.
Mm,
Let's go through the Game Awards nominations and start with the biggie, the Game of the Year.
yes.
And now we Astrobot, Balatro, the Monkey Game, with the Wukong,
Yep. Wukong.
Elden Ring, Shadow of Erdtree,
Yep.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the game that won't die,
Yes.
and Metaphor Refantasio. 6 games, 6 prime games for Game of the Year, and nothing missing at all. no,
I've,
no games of any significance released this year have missed that list, except for Sonic Generations. Sonic
Shadow Generation.
which I think was
I
snubbed.
find it interesting, right? So Erdtree was on that list, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
Elden Ring Erdtree.
Erdtree being, look, I'm not averse to the idea that because it's such a big expansion, it counts as a new one.
Oh, is that an expansion?
Yes.
How can an expansion get Game of the Year?
I mean, therein lies the rub, isn't it? I mean, if it got expansion of the year, I wouldn't even back.
Is Final, yeah, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Is that anything to do with the original Final
Yeah.
Fantasy?
So basically, it's Final Fantasy. So there's been two of them. The Final Fantasy VII that came out. Basically, they changed the combat. They changed the story. Like the story is completely different. A lot of the stuff, the story beats from the first game don't happen. Basically, it's like a multiverse thing in its own way,
Ah, goddamn.
right? So, it's fine. It is interesting. Again, of all, I don't know, no Helldivers is
Oh,
admission.
really?
Yeah,
Hey,
is
wait,
admission.
wait, what? So
Yeah,
Helldivers.
no
Did anyone play
Helldivers.
that this year?
Yeah, no
Was
Helldivers
that
is an admission.
was that popular in any way? Did anyone play it?
That was until they decided to get greedy.
So you're
as we
telling
know.
so you're telling me though that an expansion to a game and a remake of the most overrated game in history, so Sony fanboys, but it's overrated. That made it there instead of Helldivers 2.
Instead of Helldivers 2, that is
Oh,
correct.
the game that might have cost my son his year
Year
12.
12, yeah, yeah. I know that feeling, all right?
So, I saw guys do that at uni, just blow exams playing
Yeah.
Ulan on the Unix system.
Yeah,
Anyway,
wow.
big hello to Alan if you're listening. How did Helldivers? Now I know that there's a concerted video game campaign to get the monkey game out,
Yeah.
Black Myth Wukong, and there's still one now to try and make sure it doesn't win. Although it's not going to win. I can tell you right now, the Black Myth Wukong won't win. Do you know how the voting works for this?
Isn't it like 20% public and then the rest is
Yep.
journos or something
Yeah, it
like
is.
that?
Yeah, so it's all Polygon and that all get a vote.
Survivor gets a vote?
Does he? Oh, okay, well, that's somebody who actually knows games, so that's good. But the rest of it's just all video game magazines, so they get 80%. So basically, there's no way the public can shift.
Mm.
Um, uh,
Whereas the golden
2080.
joysticks are purely popularity contests. So Eat One, Black King Wukong won that one.
Yeah, because there's a billion Chinese.
Yeah.
So they win every game.
So it's both ends of the bad spectrum, right? Like,
So
yeah.
all the media outlets that have the 80% of the vote have all been
It's the electoral.
publishing.
It's the electoral college of video games.
They've all been publishing articles recently about how the Monkey Game is the worst rated game to ever be nominated.
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear they're not going to vote for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
I-
the
I-
snubbing of Helldivers is
The
just
snubbing of Helldivers is
incredible.
Is big, as far as I'm concerned. I feel like, I mean, I'm sure it comes up in one of the smaller categories at some point.
okay. Do you want to know where it comes up?
It comes up in what ongoing online games. multiplayer
Best
games.
best action, best ongoing. I'll get to some more details about these later. Best multiplayer, which
Yeah.
probably makes sense,
It won't win that, but yeah,
and
good, but it won't.
community support, which is kind of funny considering what
I-
PlayStation, what Sony did. To it.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing. You have to skew Sony's input against Arrowhead's input, and then that changes the conversation a fair bit.
Well, the checks have cleared for the nominations, so let's go through a couple of the other ones. Astrobot's got a ton of nominations. Game direction, actually, what was interesting, the nominations for game direction were exactly the same as Game of the Year. So Astrobot got game direction, art direction, score/music, audio design, which is kind of similar.
I mean, okay.
Best action adventure and best family game.
Yeah.
It was up against a couple of
Family
Nintendo
game,
games.
I would be fine with that. Yeah, I don't know. Astrobot is just a nostalgia fest, and I'm not a Sony kid, so yeah.
Balatro got game direction, best indie,
Mm-hmm.
best debut indie. There's probably a link there, and then best mobile. The Monkey Game got best game direction. Obviously, they all got game direction. Best art direction and best action game as nominations.
Okay, that's all fine.
The Elden Ring expansion got game direction, art direction, and best RPG.
Yeah.
I still can't believe it. I know if it's a big expansion, but it's not a game. Yeah, wait, it's an expansion.
And this is that conversation, right? Like, it is a huge expansion. Like, it is using.
Yeah,
I mean, it's in the same. It's in the same vein of, like, I mean, people are comparing it to Tears of the Kingdom, and I don't think that's a fair one-to-one comparison. Apologize, I just realized the washing machine's going in the background, so that's going to come through.
yeah,
But that's all right.
What's the my Trump pen last week?
Yeah.
So it's probably okay. Maybe your audio equipment just heard his voice and turned off. I was trying to make jokes with the Trump pen, and the audio equipment's gone. No, we're not. Anyway, so Final Fantasy VII Rebirth got game direction, best narrative, score/music, audio design, best performance by Brianna White is a vocal performance, and best RPG, and Metaphor ReFantasio got game direction, narrative being a social cause being pushed in the game. I think
Oh,
that's
really? Is that what they? Is that what
that's an interesting one because there could be someone passably good like that. But art direction, best score, music, and best RPG. So they're the top six, and they pretty much dominated.
I mean, Metro Fantasia is an interesting one. So it's a Persona game. It's Atlas. So it's basically that same kind of classic RPG. I mean, I know a lot of our crew are big on it, but I am surprised to see it in the list. If I'm being honest, I didn't think it would end up there. I mean, I'm glad. It's one of those things. I'm glad. I mean, obviously, Erdtree is a Japanese game. Elden Ring is a Japanese game at its core, but I'm glad that something as uniquely esoterically Japanese as Metro, whatever it's called, the stupid fucking names they give them.
The winner's going to be Astrobot, isn't it?
I worry that it is, because I think any of the other choices are a better choice than Astrobot, but I haven't played Astrobot. Having seen it's a 4-hour platformer that's like a nostalgia fest, and I'm like, is that really what we want to hang our head on for Game of the Year? Is that like the most unique thing that we've created, the most compelling thing that we've created this year?
It's got to be.
I don't mind it winning categories, but I just don't see it. I just don't understand how it makes.
It's going to be inoffensive.
Yeah.
Because I've got a theory about Helldivers too, right?
Yeah.
Why that's been because a lot of journos actually hated that as well.
Yeah, but it's like that thing when they watched Attack on Titan and they were like, oh, is Eren Yeager like Attack on Titan has Nazi imagery and Nazi callbacks? It's like, yes.
Oh, I'm going to get to a story about that later.
That's kind of the point. It's a moral play about how segregation of races is wrong.
Well, Well, so we'll get to something along those
Anyway,
lines
oh,
soon. Trust me.
my thing is modern media and modern everything is if it shows it, it must support it. And I'm like, that's the dumbest possible
No, that's like saying
interpretation.
if I tip Collingwood to beat Essendon this weekend,
Yeah,
I must love Collingwood and hate it. It's like I hate both teams,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so,
No, that said, if I had to pick one, it'd be Collingwood. Like,
yeah, well, true, because Essendon represents all that is soulless and wrong.
Yeah.
But now, look, so my theory on Helldivers is that Helldivers has a lot of commentary about the military-industrial complex.
Absolutely.
And I reckon a lot of journos, especially in the US, they still have that twitchy knee-jerk reaction and stuff like that because it's a little bit too confronting to them and what their society actually is. So it's America.
I'm going to go a bit Reddit here. So the ICC just released a writ for Netanyahu and Ben Gvir and for the head of Hamas, right? And everyone, you go to Reddit, and everyone's like, "Oh, they did that for Putin, and it did nothing." I said, "Yes." Do you know who else? Like, literally, if an American serviceman is taken by the ICC, it's the Hague Act, and George Bush put it in because he was worried.
Because he was committing war crimes.
If they take an American serviceman to be tried at the ICC because they're not signatories to the ICC, they will invade to get them back. But if you mention that, it's whataboutism. It's like it's not really whataboutism. It's very relevant to the point that we're discussing. But it's that blind spot that especially these and this is that it's not uniquely American by any stretch. It's that warped patriotism. Do you know what I mean? It's like
they love the ICC when they tried to arrest Putin.
Of course, exactly.
But it's a war crime. Remember one of those games redid the American war crime of the Highway to Hell and said the Russians did it. Anyway, that's
Well, that was
we're gonna go.
That was Black Ops 5, I think.
Yeah, encroaching into Asmongold territory.
Yeah. Well, no. It's just more a case of. We have to if we're going to send soldiers off to do this kind of thing, we need to reckon with it. And Australia has a big problem with a certain, let's call him B. Robert Smith. No, that's too obvious. Let's call him Ben RS.
No, he's protecting us. He's protecting us from farmers, 16-year-old boys in
people with their
Afghanistan,
hands tied behind their back.
and uppity girlfriends.
Yeah, allegedly, he's.
We are safe from those three while he's around.
I think it's being appealed at the moment, so we have to say allegedly.
Yeah, well, he does have Kerry Stokes funding him.
That's true.
Kerry Stokes will be probably funding Alan Jones at the moment based on his form and past of choosing.
Yeah.
How are we going for being sued?
But more than anything else, I think Helldivers does a good job of.
Actually, in my opinion, that's just my opinion. Okay, I'm not saying any of that fact. It's my opinion.
A genuinely held opinion.
I can guarantee that is my opinion.
Yeah. But no, so it is that thing of like Helldivers.
My son was the same age as the people he murdered. And they kind of you just look at it and you go, you fucking anyway.
And then they wonder why they want to kill us.
Have you been on this? Oh yeah, Helldivers. Okay.
Helldivers. I kept trying to go back, and you keep fucking keeping on going. I keep trying to steer it back. Anyway, but basically, Helldivers does a really good job of being that mirror, not only in the overt patriotic messaging and all that kind of stuff, but in the way the metagame works. It's like democracy sets it up. So people complained about. So they had the International Space Station recently, and it has three options. It was Eagle deployments, which basically put the timer back 24 hours. There was another thing, and then there was planetary bombardment, and it just basically meant every 5 minutes, every 3 minutes, for 2.5 minutes, the planet just got blown up. So random bombs are falling from the sky. So basically, you just have to run and hope that you don't die. And that game is already chaotic enough. You're already losing enough thing. You get extra people to call down, and you got planetary shields to throw, temporary shields to throw down while you're doing objectives where you have to stand still. But you just look up and you see all these bombs, and then there's just ones where you're not going to make it out of the way in time. You know that. So you gotta hope that your jump is enough to mitigate and you don't die from it. And it's just bad design. But it shows you the tyranny of democracy.
It's like Gaza Simulator.
Right, well, it's tyranny of the masses, right? Because everyone voted for that. And then the people who are suffering from it are the ones who have to go out and actually do it. And then they were complaining about it. I'm like, if anything, this is an absurd kind of, I don't want to say it, but Black Mirror to the unfettered nature of uninformed democracy. So to me, it's that thing of, I don't know. I think I like Helldivers. It is my game of the year. I don't see anything else beating it. But like I said, I've been playing.
I can see Astrobot, Balatro.
I can see Astrobot winning. I can see Balatro is a great game. I've played a lot of Balatro. I own it on 3 formats.
I'm going to be like a bigot with the mobile games. I don't believe in mobile. I haven't seen Blatro, but I don't care how good it is.
Uh,
It's a mobile game. It belongs in its own category.
yeah, maybe, but like, I mean, there's mobile games that have good stories and stuff like Kentucky Route Zero and stuff like that. They were good games. Yeah, I don't know. You
If
can
I want
have
to
a,
play a mobile phone game, I'll play on the Switch.
but I think, but again, this goes to that conversation: is what is a mobile phone game, right? Like, it's the same as an indie game. What's an indie game, right? You know, if you've got an indie game, what's the definition? Is there a definition that fits every indie game? And there isn't. Like, is it an aesthetic? Is it a lack of publisher support? If it's not a lack of publisher support, is it?
I
You
think
know,
it should be where your funding comes from.
yeah, well, but then I mean, so Devolver's not indie then. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, who's Devolver funded by?
Well, Devolver's funded by themselves, but they're a publisher, so they're making indie games as a publisher. Do you know what I mean? So you could argue because
Yeah,
they're not
okay.
because they're not publicly
I've got
traded.
one. If they don't have a long list of sexual assault allegations against them, how about that?
I mean, it's rare. It's
Well, I'm going to go with that. So if you're an
well, no,
any indie dev is somebody that doesn't have like run rape dungeons
yeah,
conferences and
yeah,
have a
yeah,
massive list of sexual assault allegations, especially against senior staff.
yeah. But I would
Not naming any publishers, but
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a more simple definition. Mine would be if you're not publicly traded. If you're publicly traded, I think that you're no longer independently think. I mean, and that would say that Valve is an indie developer, and I'm like, yes, I would say, by my definition, they would be.
yeah, I suppose that's not a bad one.
Yeah, do you know what
Yeah,
I mean? They buck their own trends. All the stock is owned by the people who work there.
yeah, Valve, poor Valve.
Yeah,
We'll get to them. We'll get to them. I've got a story coming up.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. That's why I say it's the same with mobile game. Like, what's a mobile game? Like, yeah, you think of all these Gashapon heavy blah blah. Whereas Balatro is, I will pay once, play it as much as you want game. It doesn't quite fit that same mold that I understand where you're coming from when you think of the word mobile game. So I don't know. I'm a little bit more agnostic on it.
Um, well, I look comment about Helldivers. I think a lot of people had a knee-jerk reaction to being shown the militarism, and
Mm.
and there's a part of the media that embraces that and
Yeah,
doesn't understand they're part of that system. And that
yeah,
so Helldivers got 4 nominations. I'm going to go through some of the others just to
yeah, yeah.
be painful with this. Best action was Black Myth Wukong, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2. What are right there? Stellar Blade.
Yep.
And Warhammer 40k. Warhammer
Yeah,
40k
so that's
got a
Space
few nom-
Marine, Space Marine 2.
Yep. The
Space Marine 2 is the worst of those games, and it's still fine. It's just not that good.
innovation and accessibility. This is a weird one. This is for
Mm.
enabling people to have new ways of playing games. Black Ops. I don't know how are they using real guns or something? What's going on there? It's Black Ops.
I mean,
Anyway,
it's because it's got multiple levels of color blindness thing. I know that.
oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
probably it. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Diablo, Elon Musk's favorite game at
yeah,
the
yeah.
moment.
Okay.
I cannot even. Oh, Prince of Persia, Lost Crown.
Okay.
I abbreviated that. So I confused
Pop,
myself.
pop LC.
Star Wars Outlaws because they probably had to nominate for something,
Yeah.
and Veilguard again because they probably had had
Oh, that's
nominated for something. So let's go to some other ones. Best on.
Like, going
Uh,
back to that one, I'm all for a lot of these inclusivity things. Whether it's I mean, people can play Last of Us 2 being like they're
that
blind, they
had
can
that
be
had a
deaf.
lot of settings. Yeah.
Yeah, and good. I mean, I'm glad because realistically, Sony for all their faults, that's one thing that they've been at kind of the forefront of. And the purists would argue, how does it affect the people interacting with the art? It's like, well, they get a chance to interact with the art. I mean, it's like saying, well, a blind person can't see that painting. It sucks to be them. You know what I mean? Whereas if there's something that if it's a way for them to experience the medium, then good luck to them. I think that the Sony, for all of its faults, deserves credit on
I
that.
think there's no problem at all with that. I think look, make gaming available to everybody because
And Microsoft with the adaptive controller, like for all their
yeah.
faults, there's some things they do well. I know for a fact that the booth this year at PAX on Microsoft had as someone who could do Auslan the entire week, the
Oh yeah,
weekend.
cool,
So if anyone had any Auslan questions, they could come up and ask and stuff like that.
cool.
So yeah, so like I say, like credit to them. Sometimes these initiatives are all marketing or cynical marketing fed, but if the outcome is good, then you just sometimes just take the win. You know
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean? So, yeah,
no harm in doing it. I mean, these companies like Microsoft that are worth so much money, they've got
yeah,
no excuse not to.
yeah, pretty much.
It's not like an indie dev who, it really comes into time and budget's an
Yeah.
issue. So, what's some other ones? So that's accessibility. The best ongoing, Destiny 2. This is a game that keeps
Yeah.
getting support. Destiny 2, Diablo 4. Again, hello, Elon.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy XIV. Fortnite, which is people are going to be playing Fortnite after nuclear holocaust.
Yeah.
They were like in 3 months. So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
and
Oh
Hell,
no, they'll lose half their audience because they're all conscription age.
yeah. Sorry, guys. Helldivers 2 is the other best ongoing. Best
So
community.
it won't win ongoing because it can't beat any
Oh,
of those.
he can beat Fortnite.
Yeah, never.
Surely,
No.
Fortnite with them.
Fortnite or Final Fantasy is going to win that. It's simple as that.
Can't say Final Fantasy games, but Fortnite's just
Final
good.
Fantasy 14 is the RPG version, so it's the second biggest one after WoW.
Okay. All right. Now, best community support because Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep,
Um,
that's a hard one to beat. Yep,
FFXIV
hard to
again.
beat. Yep, Yoshi.
Fortnite again.
I mean, yeah, okay.
Helldivers 2 was kind of
not
funny
gonna-
after what Sony did.
yeah.
And the one I love is No Man's Sky.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I think none of those would be a bad choice to win. As much as I hate to say it, like it means less chances for Helldivers, but none of those would be a bad.
Okay.
option.
Best multiplayer, Helldivers gets another crack here. Black Ops 6 is always going to be a Black Ops game and
gonna win,
multiplayer one.
yeah.
Helldivers 2, Mario Party, it's the best
Jamboree.
multiplayer to make you hate your friends.
Yeah.
So, Tekken 8, Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
And-
Warhammer doesn't win that. It's the it's the worst of the ones in that list.
Okay, let's go best fighting games. We're going through a couple of the notable ones here. Best fighting games. Who the hell names fighting games? Dragon Ball
Fighters.
Sparking Zero.
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, yeah.
Okay.
Not really a fighting game, but that's okay.
Grand-
I mean, it is, but whatever. Yeah.
Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising.
Yes, that's the re-release of Grand Blue. Yep.
Marvel versus Capcom Fighting Collection.
Yeah. It's not really a new fighting
Arcade
game.
Classics. No, it's not really, is it?
No.
An interesting one here, Multiverses.
That's not gonna-
The check cleared on that one, didn't it?
Tekken 8 wins. Tekken 8 wins.
And
this
Tekken
game.
8, yeah.
Tekken 8 wins
Did
this
you see that
category.
people were lobbying the dudes that make Tekken 8 on Twitter to add a stage with a Waffle House in it?
Yeah.
Waffle House is a stage. He's like, what? I don't get
get
this.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
people had to explain and send Waffle House videos. It was a good thread for a little while. All right, and where are we at? I did multiplayer, didn't I? Best esport. Esports aren't really. This is probably a sad state of esport. It's not moving much. So best esport nominations were
Yeah, I'm listening.
Counter Strike 2, Dota 2, League of Legends, Valorant, and Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
No deadlock in that.
No.
So they're not counting as released yet. I mean, League of Legends wins that, unfortunately. I hate to say it.
But 4 of those games have been around for quite a while.
I mean, CS2.
There's no movement in esport, is there?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like,
Is esport in trouble?
yeah, it's. I mean, the bubble burst because all the Cowboys came in, made their money, and left.
What, you couldn't live in a shack up in a house full of other esports players and make billions of dollars?
It's just more they try. I mean, League of Legends goes a little bit too hard the other way, but Dota 2 has had recently, threats of violence, loud. Like one of the guys.
Gaming.
Yeah, I know, right? And this is what I mean. Like,
It's silly because no one's going to do it.
so
It's
League of Legends will sanction you if you aggressively GG too much. If you type in all chat, you can be
aggressively Gamergate too much.
Yeah. If you all chat, all that kind of stuff, anything that can be perceived as like a thing, the right will crack down on you. You'll get sanctioned, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's hardcore. Whereas Dota, I mean, there's things if you go too far. But when we've had, I mean, of course, it was Amar was involved in both of them. The biggest tough guy, quote unquote, on the gaming scene. And one of the Russian players was like, "Oh, come out front, we'll deal with it." You know what I mean? And like, and they were like, "Oh, well, we can't do that." But then the next one is like, "I'm going to kick your face in," and I'm like, I mean, this is one of those things, right? Like, I think it's everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, and I think not that I'm glorifying violence, but it's like, don't threaten physical violence unless you're willing to like, do not make checks you are not willing to cash. Like, no matter how that turns out. If you're going to say, let's get physically violent, you've got to see it through. I think, like, you don't make those.
Or you pay a 58-year-old man $20 million and not punch you. So, all right, now last one. You mentioned LOL in there, and one of the categories here I liked, I think it's a good one, the best adaptation, which is the best adaptation of a video game property to somewhere else, mostly TV.
Yeah.
The nominations are Arcane, which is, have you watched Arcane?
No, but I've heard.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's up there for me with Cyberpunk Edge Runners for just like an enjoyable watch.
Yeah.
And I got to say, animation at the moment, I reckon the last 5 years or so, animation has been producing the outside of anime, right? But I just say generally animated stuff in
Yeah.
the post Pixar era have been some of the best movies to watch,
Yeah.
the best content. Because you got Spider-Man,
Yeah,
the
I watched.
Spider-Man in Spider-Verse cartoons were just
Yeah.
fantastic. Arcane,
Yeah. Oh, but I
Cyberpunk.
mean, the best sitcoms have been animated for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like this is not news to anyone. Yeah. No, look, and I don't view it as a lesson. It's like when people say, "Aren't you glad that such and such game is getting a movie?" I'm like, not really. Like,
There's a live action being made of How to Train Your Dragon. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
okay.
fuck off.
Yeah. Well, they're doing a live action Moana as well. Is that a meme? Is that an internet meme?
Anyway, it probably is. You can't tell. See, that's the thing. You make a joke these days, and you can't tell if Disney is going to do it or not.
Yeah.
If you say, "I'm going to," because remember, Simpsons used to make up the most stupid bullshit possible, like, "Oh, Trump's going to be president one day," and then
Yeah.
as it happens. So you can. We're in an era where you can just make up outlandish crap, and eventually it's going to come true.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the other best adaptations is Arcane, which I recommend everybody watch Arcane on Netflix. It is incredible. Fallout, which is good, but if you like Fallout, you'll love Arcane more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Knuckles, I haven't seen any of that yet. I've been meaning to, but that's a spin-off from the Sonic movie with
Yeah. Okay. Idris Elba.
what's his name? Yeah, as Knuckles, and
Well,
he was
he's good in a lot of stuff. So yeah.
he was a good character. He did Knuckles really well in the Sonic movies. Haven't seen that.
Yeah.
There was a Yakuza thing. I haven't
Yeah,
heard
it's
anything
awful.
about that. Okay, and well, talking awful, Tomb Raider on Netflix.
I mean, Fallout was phenomenal. I think Arcane's going to win it, but Fallout was
Oh,
phenomenal.
Arcane is something else.
Yeah, I do recommend. I mean, they reckon that's it for Arcane. They're not doing another one with Jinx. It's going to be more. And I will give that to Riot over Dota. Although to be fair, Dota's catching up a little bit for that stuff. They are willing to expand their lore in like there's an RPG. They've got the fighting game coming out. They've got a bunch of these different games coming out that expand the lore a little bit each way. And Dota usually does it as an in-game thing for Dota. So like at the moment there's an RPG that tells the story of the fall of the Skyrath mages and all this kind of stuff. So it's like they do it in game, but to Riot's credit, everything they do is in the service of the wider lore, and that's why they've said with Arcane we're going to focus on other characters in the thing.
Yeah.
And credit to them.
But
I like that kind of stuff. If
we-
you've got a universe, you might as well use it.
We've had that discussion on the podcast before, specifically with Last of Us, where the star is the world, not
Yes.
the characters. And smooth brains think it's the characters,
Yeah.
but it's not really. The characters enabling the world to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah, so Arcane and
Well,
there's another Cyberpunk Edgerunners
Yeah.
series coming soon, but it won't be about David and
Yeah,
Lucy.
good,
Oh, well,
which
can't be
shouldn't
about
be.
can't be about David. Spoilers. Can't be about Rebecca either. More spoilers. But it'd be about Falco. Falco's spin-off. That's what everyone wants. Everyone listening who's seen it, they know what I'm talking about. Falco's a champ. But they're gonna. It's gonna be another one in the world,
Yeah.
right? So it's not the same characters. It does make it hard when you kill them all, but Arcane apparently are considering that as well as other things. But they have other cities to work with. They have other locations.
Yeah.
So we've had this discussion many times. The world is the star,
Yeah.
especially in a video game context. The world's the star. The lore's the star.
And like I say, I think everyone, Joel was. You could argue Joel and Ellie were equal pro tags of one. In the second one, the pro tags are Ellie and Abby because we're seeing the world that Joel created. In the third one, I think you could have you could have was it Rem? What's the
Just Happy Gilmore, Nick Vildo.
yeah. Well, there's a Happy Gilmore 2 coming, but Abby
But no,
Abby
don't
shows
do
up
it.
in that.
Do not do it. You don't need the money that much.
Yeah,
Sailor.
it's already been made anyway.
God, I'd rather see a Zohan 2 before another Happy
yuck,
Gilmore.
yuck. And so propaganda anyway. No, so you've got this you've got this situation where there's so many stories you can tell. You could have Ellie in there in some capacity. I just don't think she needs to be the main character again. You could argue that it's her chance to be sunsetted into the last role. I think that's also fine. But I think Druckmann and that have done a good enough job of creating a universe that's believable that you wouldn't need to rehash those.
There's so much.
I
more.
don't know. I don't know
Big
how
world.
they're going to do season 3 of the TV show because season 3 of the TV show is going to come before the third game. And yeah, like yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait until season 2 of Last of Us
yeah,
airs on TV, and a lot of people that love Pedro Pascal's character in the
yeah. They're
first
gonna
one,
be upset.
it's going to be tears.
Yeah. I wonder if they. I mean, I'm sure they'll just do it the same. That's one of those things you kind of have to keep the same. I think because it's such a pivotal moment in the universe.
I
It's like
wouldn't
a
die.
fixed, it's Doctor Who. It's a fixed point in time, right?
I
Like
wouldn't die shocked if they try and drag it out a bit longer, so it
I
doesn't have a
wonder.
first episode.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
but I've always said I think that the problem with the game was the pacing because it was written like a premium TV show. I think you could tell the game 1-to-1 over 2 seasons and it would be absolutely fine. You ended on the cliffhanger at the second game. You ended at the movie theater and then pick it up the other end.
Yeah, well, so that's best adaptation. That's enough for Game Awards.
Okay.
So Helldivers only 4 nominations, mostly
Bullshit ones.
multiplayer stuff. Is
Ones that won't win.
yeah, attendance awards effectively. The actual Game of the Year nominations, pretty shit. But yeah, so it's a Game Awards. The check cleared. That's what they got. So we're looking at. I'm going to go to a story because you mentioned Valve a few times. We did mention something else before now.
Steam Decks are out now. So
Steam Decks are awesome. Go get one. Absolutely love the Steam Deck that my son won't let me play with much. But the ADL now. This is I'm going to have to be careful with tread here. The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League in America, has with a coordinated media campaign, has gone full on attacking Steam for being full of anti-Semitic hate speech, hateful accounts, and things like that in the last week.
They should do YouTube. If they're
And,
gonna
and
do
US
this,
senators are even talking about it.
Yeah.
They could do Murdoch Media. But let's they could do Asmongold. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so basically what they claimed was that there are 1.8 million pieces of extremist content, in quotes, extremist content that they found on Steam. And then they've gone.
They include that as Pepe memes, don't they?
Wow, this is the bit that's come out. Yes. Now, 54.6% of the extremist symbols they found were Pepe memes. Now, remember Pepe was all over the Hong Kong independence protests and that. So Pepe's a CIA creature.
Yeah.
So,
At this point, I would believe that.
so
I mean,
if you
that-
post a
that
Pepe
means-
memes, you're a spook.
That means our Discord is like extremist hate.
Extreme. Well, Discord was attacked a little while ago for being.
'Cause we have plenty of them because they're just great memes. It's not a matter of like you can say
Yeah,
like
yeah, it is.
I hate the use of them sometimes. Like they see the based ones and it's like they'll have Pepe smoking a cigar. It's like number one, you've never smoked a cigar in your life. Number two, you've never touched a boob. Number three, like they're that kind of Sigma incel that's like they're doing their 403 math and all that stuff. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. Like,
Have you ever noticed that any time any platform is sitting there not being monitored by the glowies, that they just assume it's full of white supremacy hate speech? It's sort of a bit of a tell, isn't it? Let's look at your own internal networks, dudes. Because every time there's a Nazi protest, nobody turns up to stop it. Weird. It's like Spider-Man and Peter Parker never get sent in the same place. But anyway, let's go with over half of all the extremist symbols they found were Pepe memes. They also ran an AI tool over it to get all this stuff, and they found extremist content in, you'll be surprised by this, Wolfenstein and Sniper Elite.
Again, it goes to what I'm saying, right? It's like the idea of like you show it, therefore you agree with it. Ignore the fact that there's literally a mission where you can shoot Hitler in the testicle, and he's only got one in that game because he only had one in real life. That's the meme they find. It's just clown town. Like, and this is the thing because it's like that thing of. It's when they did the OK symbol, right? And I love an OK symbol. You do it in Japan, and the Japanese understand.
That was a setup by 4chan.
Right? And that means that it's adopted that thing. And I'm like, well, if we're going to do that for words changing meaning, there's a lot of words that have changed meaning over the years, right? And so, to me, I'm just like, if they said, hey, this can be used as a thing, just be careful of the context. I could understand that more, but then they were like, oh, it's definitely a white supremacy symbol. I'm like.
If you could show me Blair Cottrell and Neil Erickson doing an OK symbol before the 4chan prank, I would
Absolutely.
believe them. But there was none of that.
Yeah.
And afterwards, because the idiot journos is so simple that they wanted it to be true because they have to believe it. And you go, no, you're looking in the wrong place as usual. But anyway, okay, let's go. So they found 1.8 million pieces of extreme. Let's assume that all those Pepe memes were little Nazis, right?
Yeah.
Let's assume. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. The ADL. And the ADL used to do a decent cause. Nowadays, they're just a tool for the glowies.
It's
to-
ACLU too. is
they
similar to
they
that.
they just get put out as the initial attack force, so the CIA can move in then and say now we need to monitor your system for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
extremist content, even though we're the ones that created it all.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
Yeah,
let's,
this is them wanting to get into Steam servers, basically.
it's a shake. Yeah, they want access to the Steam servers. So and they did it with Discord, and they do it with every network. Now let's assume that their number 1.8 million pieces of extremist content. That sounds a lot, doesn't it?
Not really. I mean, considering global population.
Hashtag spoiler.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, so let's do some numbers, right? At any one time, there's 21.9 million players online.
Yeah.
5 million playing a game. I don't know what the others do.
That is less than I thought it would be.
There are 132 million registered Steam users.
Yeah.
Okay. 69 million daily players. Now let's.
So you're looking at what 1.3%.
I should introduce this as I'm Tom Cruise and you're Dustin Hoffman. Seriously, I'm here with New Game Plus executive.
How much?
Okay,
130,
so the 130
million.
Well, it's 1.36. You're wrong.
Pretty close.
You simpleton. So
Pretty
no,
close.
so yeah, okay. So if every single user, and this is they're talking extremist content. If every single registered Steam user posted one item
Yeah.
on there, one comment, and some post hundreds, right? One comment, one review or whatever, only 1.36% of
done,
them
yeah.
would be. That is margin of error low.
Yeah.
Right. That is not even worth worrying about. Now I'd like them to do the same thing on their beloved YouTube or Facebook.
Do it on
or Twitter.
Facebook alone. The amount of times I have
Just look for the people with a car or fish in their
yeah,
profile.
so Carl Fish. Yeah, you got to watch out for the Decepticons, right? And I call them Decepticons because it's always the angry cars and trucks that are there. But the amount you go to any of those whatever videos, right? Like your mates, is it whatever? What are they
Oh, I
called?
love whatever point. I say, oh no, that's great.
Any of
I don't love it. I love it because they're dickhead.
Yeah, any of that kind of crap. And there's just so many. And okay, here is me at my nastiest.
Oh.
Do you know how you can spot a Sigma? There'll be a picture of them. They'll be in late 20s, early 30s, and it'll be a picture of them with their kid, but no misses. And that's the telling sign. If there's not a photo of all three of them together, no. But tell me I'm wrong. Go look at profiles, and it will always be photos of them and the kid because that's what they're clinging to is this kind of I'm not a shit cunt.
Not going down that path.
But do you know what I mean? Like I will guarantee you to a man that's what it is, right?
Fishing cards are normally a good tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, also if they totally disagree with what we said earlier about a certain army person.
Yeah.
So it is such a low number, but it's definitely a shakedown. The media gets sent out first as their first attack wave, and then the glowies come in and they say we need control. And look, let's be honest, the ADL can fuck off on this one because if you wanted to remove white supremacy and Nazis from the world, you could start by defunding the CIA.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that actually support. Remember when Ukraine was full of Nazis until the war happened? They suddenly shut up about it.
Yeah.
There were Americans going to Nazi training camps to train to be Nazis, come back to America, and every time they have a march, they're all feds. They were in ear things and that.
Well,
Anyway,
I mean, that was like when you had the BLM stuff, and it was like they were leaving the bricks out and stuff like that, and it was all real glory.
They did that in when Milosevic was in charge of Serbia. The war. He actually trucked in. The story goes bricks to the rural protests.
Yeah.
And so
they start throwing them.
I need a few agitators. Everyone else joins. And say, look, the ADL can get fucked. Leave Steam alone.
And to be clear,
tell your CIA handlers to fuck off.
The fact that there would even be 1% of people who have those views is abhorrent to begin with, but we should need to tell you that. And it's like you say, if you compared that to the wider community, again, if you're serious about it, YouTube, Facebook, like their Twitter, you know what I mean? Hell, Twitter alone, you know what I mean? Like you can, you can
Blue Sky soon because everyone's going
flooded it now.
Everyone's going, Blue Sky's so good because because there's like 100 people on it, right? And it hasn't gone through the enshittification yet, which will happen. Just give it time.
That's corporatism coming for you.
Yeah. So soon as the suits see a bit of money there, they're in.
I mean,
Anyway,
you remember when they decided that Tumblr was a strong enough name to survive without the weird porn? and then Tumblr doesn't exist
They always
anymore.
do that. They always build on
Same
porn.
with Twitter. That was Twitter as well.
They always
Yeah.
build on porn. The porn's back on Twitter.
Yeah, oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So look, it's this shakedown of Steam is another disgusting thing that the Yanks are trying to do. They think everybody's them, and the ADL can get fucked. They used to have a good purpose, but nowadays I don't think they do. Not saying their purpose is bad suddenly, but I just think what they're doing now is just serving the
The reactionary, yeah.
they just put out stuff, the media prints, and then everybody piles on. The US,
Oh, yeah.
US senators start coming in, putting pressure on Steam. All they want is Steam to open up all their networks so that all the spooks can have backdoor access to it,
Yeah.
and then they're probably just going to go train their AI on it anyway.
And this is my kind of issue with the Australian kind of social media ban. Did you see that YouTube doesn't count? And I'm like, it's crazy that you wouldn't include YouTube. YouTube is this absolute cesspit.
You have a look at that. Who's that guy that does Channel 6, the young guy?
Leo, whatever.
Eagle something. He's a champion, so I apologise for the name. I'm shit at names in case you haven't noticed the podcast over the years. But he's done some really excellent analysis of it.
Well, because he would be subject to it 2 years ago.
Well, he's going to lose his channel.
Yeah.
Or if it was on YouTube, yeah. But one of the things that it has is the minister, whoever the minister is at the time, can actually change it. And add networks or not. Now, this is one of the things I try to say to people. You might like who's in power now.
Yeah.
And you might absolutely hate who's not in power now. What you got to consider with laws is that don't worry about those laws for the person you like.
Yeah.
Right? You might think you can trust the current minister for communication. You might think you can trust
it's the Conroy argument with the internet filter, right?
But it doesn't. You might think you can trust them, but statistically, they're not going to be in power forever. We don't live in North Korea, so there's going to be a change, and the people you don't like are going to have those same laws.
Yep.
So if you go, oh, it's okay because I trust. I don't know who the communications minister is now.
Michelle Rowland, who you could trust, but yeah.
Okay, so if you say I trust Michelle Rowland to do the right thing, okay, fine. Do you trust any of Dutton's people?
Yeah.
Right, and that's something people
Do you
have
trust
to.
Paul Fletcher, Mr.
Fletcher, yeah, well, he's tried to shut. He spent a lot of time trying to shut New Plus down indirectly, but yeah. So, and that's the thing people need to understand is these things impact. Their laws are in power for the people you don't like to use as well as people you like.
Yes.
So
I agree.
I was going to do a separate thing on that, but I didn't think we'd have.
No.
today,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
we do need to cover
we
it.
do. Well, yeah. Next week we'll cover it in a big way, but because that's when it'll go to vote. But that's my thing. Is none of these blanket bans work. They'll be easy to get around. The kids will have an answer on TikTok within 2 days, right? Basically, just
I think it's cute that grown-ups think they keep kids off things.
set your DNS to Google's DNS, and that's probably going to solve half your problems, right? If you're going to have to verify your age, I mean, if you noticed, I mean, you probably wouldn't have seen it because you're on Instagram, but Instagram and Facebook have been flooding my feed with, we have teen accounts, we have ways to do all this. Like, they're trying to advertise the fact that they can have ways around it. But if they were serious about this, they'd be going after like the algorithm itself, and that's what makes Zuck and all
Or
them
just better training in schools as well. Also for old people. I mean, if they're going to ban under 16s off social media, ban over 50s off news called media, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Ban Sky News from people a certain age.
Well, I was in the Ibis the other day, and they're playing Sky News downstairs. You see all the oldies starting to froth with their light beer. He's got a light beer because he can't handle full strength anymore.
Yeah, but then you turn on the radio and listen to Cole Jackie O talk about their sex lives all day and have callers ring up and talk about it. And then you go, well, that's not age restricted at all. Anyone can just have that as their alarm when they wake up in the morning. It's such a disingenuous thing they're doing, but we'll talk about that in detail. I would say to any politician or any person who believes this, that the government can actually bring in laws to ban things because remember they brought in those laws against drugs and there's no drugs now and it's a society, a drug-free society.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they just passed the law, and nobody's ever got around that law. And kids also, especially, don't use drugs.
Definitely not.
So yeah, so that's you're on a winner there.
So I'll say, wasn't there another vape shop blown up yesterday? It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Let's go. Okay, we'll do. We're 43 now. I want a couple more quick things. I wasn't going to keep you more than half an hour.
No,
I
that's
have.
right.
You haven't been as shouty as I expected when I woke up.
No. I'll calm down. I had to find my center.
Oh, when you woke up, I thought, oh, it's going to be an interesting podcast.
I mean, you see how I'm currently sleepy. Like, just as soon as I can get 10 minutes, I'm just eyes shut at the moment.
Right. Well, I'll try and get through these last two. Now, fans of building trebucheting people into other areas of land, I'd be happy to know that Roller Coaster Tycoon Classics coming to the Switch.
Nice.
Uh,
That's on the back of the Good Old Games announcement.
no, I don't know. I think that's a separate one.
Yeah, so maybe they're just releasing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Roller Coaster
So
Tycoon
whoever
Classic
has
coming
the rights at the moment is just flogging it off.
Now, talking rights, this is a really cool one. Now, Shenmue 3, the publishing rights have been sold to a company called Inin, ININ, a Japanese. Now, I didn't know who they were, so I looked into it. They publish Irem Collection, Taito Milestones. They've got all the Darius games rights to that. The Wonder Boy Collection.
Yeah, okay.
Spelunker.
And that explains why you see a lot of them out. Yeah, okay.
And Crosscode, which looks cool. I had a wish list on Steam. I mean, try it. It looks nice. But so they're a bit bigger than I expected. But they definitely play in the retro sort of thing mainly. Apparently, Inen means mandate in Japanese. You should know that. But anyway, so
I was trying to figure out how you would read that, and then okay, yeah.
IN. I don't know. I
so you got to see the kanji. You don't really know until you see the kanji.
So basically, their mission statement says they bring you timeless video games ranging from past to present, and they say they promise their mandate is a promise and an obligation to celebrate the gaming legacy of yesteryear and the classics of the future. I would say that bodes well for Shenmue 3. Now, my dream is to have a Shenmue 3 on the Dreamcast, so I can have the set on Dreamcast. It's never going to happen, but I really, really... I would pay serious money just to have that full one, and I reckon other people would too. They kickstarted to have it ported to Dreamcast.
Just downscale it, just turn every slider down.
And fuck up the controls. So, but I would do anything to have 1, 2, and 3 on the Dreamcast to be able to play as a series. They did say that they said Shenmue is far from over, and they talked about celebrating anniversaries and also ensuring the game continues in some way. So, look, I doubt they're going to make new ones, but the fact that Shenmue 3 won't disappear, I think is great news. It is a series that I'd love to see complete. I know there was a new version re-released for the Xbox, but it still had the clunky tank controls. They're at the time I didn't mind it, but since
the game series that's taken it on is Yakuza. I don't know if you've ever played any of the Yakuza games, but the Yakuza is the spiritual successor to Shenmue, 100%.
Yeah, I've never. Well, you guys all rave about it.
Even if you just play Judgment for the first one, because it's a smaller series and the Judgment's one of the best of the Yakuza games. Just try Judgment, because then you don't have to get into the Yakuza lore or anything like that, and it's got a lot of the same mechanics, a lot of the same fun about it. I think that would be my suggestion. Play Judgment.
But there's something that I'd love about just being able to play Shenmue 1, 2, 3 on my Dreamcast as it originally intended. Like I would pay good money for it. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of other people would as well. Okay, now on to some. Here's a couple of stories that I reckon are related. Firstly, the I Am Xbox campaign. Have you seen that?
Yeah, with the t-shirts and stuff. Yeah.
Sack your marketing people, Microsoft. Moving on to Halo, the Halo TV series. They're that hopeless. I Am Xbox.
I am not an Xbox. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but what it does show is their thing about bringing the Game Pass to TVs, phones.
The big rumor at the moment is
fridges, I guess.
Yeah, the big rumor at the moment is both Sony and Microsoft are moving into the handheld.
No! Stop reading! Stop reading!
I'm not reading. I don't read your notes. I just read a lot of news.
Stop copying.
Oh my god.
Okay. All right. So Xbox.
So what are you, a VCE examiner?
Well, no, I did hand you the notes 3 weeks ago, and then forget about it. Do you see what they're doing with that?
No.
Okay. They're not going to punish anybody who had access to the VCE exams.
Yeah.
So they're basically going to just do nothing, right?
It's going to pretend.
They're going to be sued by a whole heap of private school parents, right? So what that's going to happen is anybody, I reckon, it's almost worth going to a lawyer and saying, can you just write up a letter?
Just send it
just to get, because they're going to give them a few extra ADAR points, right? They've announced that any question that looks like a statistical anomaly, everybody's going to get full marks for, which sounds great, but since VCs are ranked against everybody else, that's effectively getting 0 marks for everybody.
So, bell curved.
When everybody's special, nobody's special. Then they're basically just going to pretend it never happened, which is amazing for an education system to be so resistant of educating themselves.
That is so bad. Anyway, keep going.
Anyway, so I was going to talk about that's about the leaked VC exams. Anyway, the Xbox. that was a digression. We're 48 minutes. I'll
Yeah.
wrap this up. Xbox handheld is apparently coming.
Mm.
So the Microsoft and Sony, this is where you're going to go. Microsoft and Sony have finally decided that Nintendo can't have their whole handheld space on their own.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's
Especially,
just,
I think it's Steam Deck as well as coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, Xbox has been teaming with Lenovo pretty hard. Their PAX booth was actually a Lenovo Legion booth.
okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they said, okay, well, let's talk to. I mean, Microsoft has a supply chain for their own stuff now. Microsoft Surface has died off from a zeitgeist perspective, but people still buy Microsoft
Tablets
Surfaces.
generally have sort of died off.
Yeah, the iPad's still the king.
But
nothing
even
else.
even that, if you
Even
look
that,
at
I
if I
agree.
look at web, I know Google changed their stats, but I look at web stats everywhere, and tablets went from like 40%
Yeah.
to like 4%
Well,
of usage all over the
the
place.
thing with it is MacBook Pros now are being Apple Silicon. An M4 MacBook Pro for what 16 gig RAM that it has, they kick so far above their weight because this is the joy of programming to your own chips. Is like you create a chip that works with the programs that you're creating to go onto it. That was what
It'd be
when-
like having your own 3D engine for the game you want to write. Hey, that's another story.
when Microsoft when Mac went to Intel, I stopped using Mac because what's the point of it? Like it's
Yeah.
Anyway,
You can deliver the experience you want. Now, that market's being squeezed from two areas. So
Yes.
the decent Mac laptops, but also on the other hand, you've got the large phones, and,
Yes.
and on shopping sites, those large phones are the dominant
the
way
fold-
people shop.
flips and
And,
folds and stuff. And
no, they're just large iPhones.
Well, no, no,
the Pro Maxes are just there's a lot of them.
because I'm still on a mini, and I'll go to an SE when this dies. And so my thing is, like I say, like the only way you could get me to have a bigger phone is if you had a flip or a fold. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
but see, you're not a middle-aged woman, and
True.
just I know it's a
I was at the
generalization.
Bill Bailey concert. The
Yeah.
amount of them who had the two-hand. That was I said to Agnes, my friend. I said, look,
Yep.
have a look at how many of them are two-handed. That's how you can tell they're fucking Gen X boomers. Like,
There's the large phones. The bulk of what I see going through the sites I manage at online stores
Yeah.
is the Pro Maxes. And yeah, that's a phone that is bought mostly by kind of the demographic listens to us on Spotify.
Yeah.
the 35 plus women. So and they do a lot of online shopping on the phone, and that's why they're also so angry because their phones are so frustrating to use
Yeah, yeah.
for anything. And I hate writing sites for them. So please, everyone, stop. Just go buy a big computer, so you won't be so angry. Now where was going handheld? So I also wondered if the shift to the Steam Deck and that. I also wonder if the shift from Microsoft and Sony to handheld suggests that Nintendo might be coming back into their turf a little bit with Switch 2.
One wonders, yeah.
Yeah, so now, so the
I mean, the rumor with the Switch 2 is it'll be PS4 tier, like PS4 Pro tier.
that's good enough because I'm a fan of the argument that and I've said gaming peaked 2004 2014, but also computer graphics are at a point now where they were so good, way past good enough 10 years ago.
Yes.
That where do you
So
go after that?
incremental improvements, and I think that's
Yeah.
why, a lot of that was why we got out of the brown phase of Unreal because people realized it's like, well, I can make it look,
Oh, in Gears of War.
I can make it look quote unquote realistic and gritty and stuff. But that's not what people hear, and then that's when the Japanese found it, and then suddenly they were like, oh, but we can actually put colors into it, and so that's how I had all these Unreal games that had color and verve and visual flair and stuff like that. Like, I would rather it look a little bit shittier, but have more enemies on screen or more, more.
That's the argument of frame rate versus
Yeah.
resolution a little bit.
I
yeah.
play EDF. I'd rather have more ants and robots than
Yeah.
prettier ants and robots.
But EDF can become a bit of a slideshow every so often.
I mean, Helldivers was doing it for a while there as well.
Okay.
So,
So anyway, it's an Xbox handheld is apparently coming, but like 2027 or later.
Yeah.
So that's a very early announcement they're working on. I don't know what's going to happen there. Now the other thing, I reckon this has been pushed by the PlayStation Portal's recent update.
which you can now do cloud gaming on.
Cloud streaming. At the moment, some PS5 games that they've chosen, so obviously the ones they've tested and work good. You need a PlayStation Plus premium thing to do it.
But you can't do it in Australia, can you?
You never do anything in Australia.
Right.
Love
'Cause
anyway,
remember
so-
Gaikai when they were doing Gaikai, and they've had Gaikai for years, even like PS3 days.
Yeah, we got less people in Australia than Tokyo has. Like, so we're not that important.
Yeah.
It's like if the government's going to do this social media ban. Do you really think the social media companies give a shit too much that 28 million people won't be on their platform?
Yeah.
They would rather get India, right? Like, and get access to a billion
Philippines as
people.
well, stuff like that.
Or Indonesia to the north of us, 300 million people. Like even African countries like Nigeria, and that 300 million people now. So you're talking. There's some parts of the world now that are so massively populated, such big markets that Australia doesn't really
qualify,
count.
yeah.
Now, I would never advocate for us to try and get to
Yes.
hundreds of million people because I think overpopulation is the cause of most of our problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, just as a market, we're just not that important, which is why we can't be smart asses too much.
I think a little bit is the reason a lot of people launch their stuff here in Australia is we're an English speaking minority market that doesn't
Then
really
dump
affect the global. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have it's shit. They just go because New Zealand was the test market for Game Pass family sharing, and then they stopped doing it. They
Yeah,
said,
you can do a small market there, but also every single game in history, or in the old days, it used to have a language selector at the start. You choose French, German, English, or Spanish, right?
Yeah.
So we were just getting European versions of games, and nobody in Australia really
I mean,
talked.
a lot of PR decisions still go through EU. So, like, if you're dealing with, say Bandai Namco here, a lot of their decision making process still goes through Bandai Namco Europe. Like
Yeah, so-
it's and that's not just them; that's everyone. So,
Yeah, so we don't get that's the reason why we don't. Which is why we should be a little bit more sensible with some of our laws, and we can be a little bit more creative. But if we're going to do shit like ban social media networks, I don't care. But then that pushes everybody to newspapers, which is the plan. Let's go on another thing. That's it. I've run out of stuff. Handheld space is going to get suddenly it's going to be reinvigorated over the next
and then
3 years. Or so.
Sony release it, drop it after a year, and say, "See, no one wants to play handheld."
Oh yeah, they'll make streaming support dependent on publishers and all the EA, and that'll go. Nah, we don't want. We'd rather they just bought more copies of the games.
Yeah.
So Sony will bodge it up because they always did. They do it. Remember the PSP Vita was supposed to stream.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was a day one Vita. I still love my Vita, and I think Vita. A lot of the things that Vita did well is things that Switch picked up and said, "Oh, that's a good idea. Let's do it our way." Yeah.
Yeah, but see, they don't like it if they don't have full control, and see, Sony will bend for the publishers a bit.
Yeah. Especially with their new moderation policy, I think. Yeah, it just
Yeah. So anyway, but so the handheld space is going to get very active. Very quickly.
Competition's always good, especially
Steam, Switch 2, Xbox handheld, PlayStation Portal. If you got those four to choose from, is the main things.
Yeah.
Then
I hate to say, in my ideas, I have debated a Portal because the amount of times I'd like to play Helldivers, but I don't want to go turn on my Xbox. I don't want to turn on my PS5. I want to have something running in the background. And so at the moment, I play it on my TV, and I have, I'll just run an episode of South Park or something like that. But if I could flip it the other way and have the big TV running the show I want to watch and the little one in my hand, or chuck on a podcast or something like that, I think I could definitely get behind that. Anyway.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of movement in the handheld space soon. Be interesting to see how the PlayStation Portal goes, and if Sony bodges it up again.
Yeah. Well, they'd be smart to give themselves a wide berth of the relaunch of the Switch 2. No matter what they do, they either do a Christmas 2025.
They just
go early 2026.
They're just sneaking this stuff on, and that'll also be why Microsoft's not rushing for the Xbox. But the PlayStation is just sneaking it on it with updates. It was probably their plan all along, but they weren't going to go with it as the opener.
Yeah, pretty good. They want to make sure the technology was there and see how Xbox streaming went.
Yeah, well, they're not. Yeah, they're not. See, Microsoft streaming's very mature.
Yeah.
Google tried with the Stadia, and it just didn't really work. And you think they could have done it?
All the companies that could.
Yeah,
Amazon, Google, Google, and Xbox are Microsoft are the three.
Amazon had the infrastructure. They even have game servers as one of their offerings on AWS. But they couldn't do it. So Microsoft's the only one. Microsoft's game streaming is really, really good.
Kalia was playing Call of Duty with us the other day. He didn't do well, but he was still doing well enough to actually score some kills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was good enough to enjoy the experience. And I think if you had a game that doesn't require pinpoint precision like something like Call of Duty,
because when it slows down, it blurs.
If you're playing like a Civilization or something like that, I don't see a reason that you couldn't play that on streaming. Do you know, or like a card game or something like that?
Every so often I'll put on Garden Warfare, the original Garden Warfare, on my Samsung TV and play it, and it works fine.
Yeah,
I mean, so. But anyway, look, you can do it as a competitive thing, really, but Microsoft streaming is good. It's only going to get better as the internet gets better. But anyway, the space is going to be very full very quickly, which I think is good to make it vibrant and a lot of changes. And we're almost at an hour.
Let's get out of here. Thank you for listening. If you do catch this today, Glitch is on tonight. And then the next one will be 7th of December, I'm pretty sure. And then it's like 4th of January or something like that. Couch Warriors Cross Up is on Saturday if you want to come play fighting games. Otherwise, NewGamePlus.tv, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, New Game Plus TV. Well, maybe if you're under 16, you may not be able to access those.
We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, and it's such a shame because they're doing. It doesn't matter. I won't even get started. We'll be here for another hour. We'll see you guys next week.